Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. Live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is a Wednesday edition. We're going to have JC. We're going to have Brent Beaird today. There will not be a show tomorrow. Go shoot fireworks, eat hot dogs, stuff your face, whatever you do on July the 4th. I'm sure our great producer, Zach, will run a former, probably the one that we always like to run is the Spurrier Bowden rerun. Not a whole lot going on in the sports world. JC, you're on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We'll have Brent Beaird, second portion of today's show. He's got a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Did the Rangers win last night?
Yeah, they did. Yes, sir. The Rangers won last night. They're getting ready to go on a little roll. I'm going to be in Dallas, Arlington in just over 10 days to watch them play the Orioles. Very excited about that. QB, a little PSA, a little health update here as we get started on a very slow, easygoing summer morning. I think whether you're talking about politics or sports or geography or astronomy or whatever it is you talk, health will cover everybody's interest. Since
hang on, JC, keep talking. I got to answer this.
Okay. 4 weeks ago, old JC clocked in at 212 pounds. And
you what? I'm back. You did what?
Well, okay. 4 weeks ago, I clocked in at 212 pounds. Yesterday, now this was 4 weeks ago, so that's 28 days. Yesterday, I hit the 196.2 mark. I am highly advising anyone struggling with obesity, pre-diabetes, or diabetes to look into it with your doctor and consider tirzepatide or semaglutide, otherwise known as Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever it is. With exercise, you will lose weight. Losing weight will help you as you age, and especially with the baby boomers dying off in the next 20 years, this is something that I think people should definitely consider as they have trouble losing weight. And it is amazing to me what happens in your brain when you control your portions, when you control your drinking or whatever it is that puts weight on or keeps it on. This stuff absolutely works. It is good for your cardiovascular system. It is good for your arterial health. It can help you mentally. It can help you with clarity. And losing weight is one of the biggest things that will help this country get healthier, because weight gain, smoking, alcohol, all of this stuff is what contributes to health problems going as you age. And I'm just thrilled right now to be able to endorse, in my mind, either tirzepatide or semaglutide, my man.
How much are they paying you, JC?
They're not paying me anything, but I see it on the scale and I see it with how I feel. And I think it's, my goal is to get down to 180. I don't see any reason why that can't happen now. And as long as you exercise and you do some sort of weight training or some sort of resistance training so that you don't lose as much muscle mass as you lose fat, you're going to be just fine. I lost 5.5 pounds of fat, but I also lost 4 pounds of muscle. So it's something that you have to keep up with, but it's something that I think will help you as you age, because diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure. My blood pressure was 117/76. That is of a teenager. So I'm just telling you, this is good stuff. And I think everybody
that's the health minute.
The health
minute by JC.
Look,
okay.
You can talk about sports all you want, but if you're sick, who cares, right? If you can go to a football game, you can watch a football game. If you're in a hospital, it's not as much fun. Trust me on this, folks.
All right. I'm glad I don't have to worry about that. All right.
Well,
so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you don't either. but a lot of people.
Yeah, Lee said, I mean, I eat very healthy. Lee said, and I wish I was as big as I am now as when I played. I'm actually 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Bigger, stronger now than I was when I went to the combine. Think about that.
Yeah, well, you're 25.
30 pounds, JC.
Yeah.
Heavier.
But you're older too, QB.
No, I know. All right. So Lee says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. QB, let JC know that we played Club Adina 2.0 on Monday, and like fools, we chose to play the Stallion tees. Everyone was at least a +6 after the first 6 holes, which is very hard. I don't know what Lee's handicap is.
I don't either. Lee.
But yeah, the Stallions are probably a little too much for you, Lee. You probably need to play at least one up. I enjoy playing the Stallions and the black tees. That we usually play the blacks.
So QB, you like playing a 700-yard par 5? Is that something fun?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No.
It's a par 7.
You see, challenge yourself, JC. Challenge yourself.
Yourself.
No, I shouldn't say that. You should play the tees according to your handicap. That's what you should do. That makes golf enjoyable for people.
I will agree with that. Yes.
All right. We got a bunch of text here on the Titan More text line, but this is one that I want to address here. I may have sent it to you because multiple people sent it to me. And it's regarding Tim Brando, longtime broadcaster.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad
Tim Brando went on some podcast.
Yeah.
And he blasted the Florida fan base, basically saying the Florida fan base is toxic due to the history of Florida football. Now, I've mentioned multiple times on this program about Florida football. And I agree with Tim Brando. People can take shots at me, whatever you want, but they've had a few years here and there, but they've had really 18 really good years. That was under Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. Like I said, you had a couple of years under Charlie Pell and Galen Hall, maybe a couple way back in Doug Dickey days. But the history tells you, if you look at it, those are the only time that Florida was a dominant football program. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, well, no, that's a historical fact. But QB, I mean, look at Auburn's fan base. Look at LSU's fan base.
No, I'm just going by what he was talking about, the fan base being toxic.
Toxic. Well,
I agree with that. And I'm a diehard Gator, and I should. I mean, people need to sometimes sit back and take your orange and blue glasses off, take your damn jersey off, take your hat off, and say, we don't have the history that some programs in the Southeastern Conference or around the country have. We just don't. Those are the facts.
Well, you have also a history that's better than many programs in the Southeastern Conference. So
I agree with that.
You have three natties. So so not many schools. Let's see, Auburn, just recently Georgia, but not historically Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. These schools don't have 3 national titles. So I think I don't mind. Look, Tim Brando's an LSU guy. He's always been.
Here's the problem.
I don't think
is a lot of the Gator fan base, JC. I interrupted you, my bad, but
no, that's okay.
I think a lot of the people that are on social media that follow the Gators, they grew up in that late Spurrier Urban era. So that's all they know, and they think that's what it's supposed to be, which we all wish it would. Yeah. But you got to live in reality too. And we all want to be the top dog. Let's be honest. There's only one team that's going to win the national title. Everybody can sit here on July the 3rd and talk about this, that, and the other, but there's going to be one champion at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. I think, a couple of schools can consider conference championships very noteworthy and the definition of a successful season. And I agree with everything you're saying as it relates to championships and history and things like this. But I think, social media is also one of the reasons why we see an animated fan base, or why we hear more from a fan base than we ever have in the past. And I don't know if people have really changed over the last 30 years. I think expectation levels have changed. But I think fans are pretty much all the same. They want their team to win, and they get disappointed when they lose, and they don't like decision makers making decisions that they disagree with. I don't know why that, psychologically speaking, has changed over the last 50 years for any fan base. But, when you want to make comparisons to fan bases, okay, Tim, he's an LSU guy. How was his fan base handling all of the terrorism that was inflicted upon it by schools like, let's say, Alabama, or whoever was blowing them out in the 90s, let's say, Florida? And so the difference is that, those fan bases were just as pissed off or just as irrational, if you will, as maybe the toxic fan base here or there. But you hear more about it nowadays because of social media. It's animated, it's louder, and the world is smaller. But I will tell you that Florida fans have the same energy and the same hunger and the same enthusiasm, I think, as any other fan base. And if Tim Brando wants to say somebody's toxic, that's fine, but just consider the source. He is a diehard, grown, true and true, purple and gold. That is a school that Florida has a big rivalry with. You can take it for a grain of salt, or you can agree with it, or you can disagree with it. But I don't know if I think it's a little bit harsh to say Gator fans are toxic. I think they just want the same thing everybody else does who's had a history of winning. And Florida's had a rough run of it since 2009. I will give you that. But overall in history, I'll take 3 national championships. I don't see Tennessee got with that. They don't have 3 flags, and I don't know if LSU even has 3 flags. Maybe they have 2. So it's tough. But look, Florida's got high expectations, and that's what you want as a fan base. And when things don't go well, you have to expect there's going to be outcry. That's pretty simple to me. But I hear what you're saying.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Titan our text line. Ponte Vedra Beach Bull Gator says, JC, what do you think about your Celtics being sold?
Well, I didn't understand that whole dynamic. I know they sell shares for the team, and you could own a little bit, kind of like the Packers. I thought the 2 guys that were holding the trophy on center court just the other day were the majority owners. I didn't know that they were interested in selling. Maybe I'm wrong about this whole thing, but the Celtics have 18 flags, and they have 1 more than the Lakers. So they can sell them to anybody they want. They're still the Celtics as far as I'm concerned. And they just signed Jason Tatum to a $311 million contract, which, QB, tell me why and explain to me how the NBA – now, I know there's only 12, 13 guys on a team, so that makes it easier. But, my God, these contracts in the NBA, when a guy like Paul George can get $250 million, $250 million for a guy that doesn't – I mean, he's okay, isn't he? But is he a champion? I don't know. I think these salaries in the NBA are so out of whack that none of it makes it. Klay Thompson's getting $50 million.
You got to remember, it's very similar to the National Football League when they see quarterback X making $300 million. Remember, of those 53 guys that make that roster, there's only about 10 of them making huge, crazy money. The rest is making minimum salary, which is very, very good money, but it's not several million.
Well, Klay Thompson just signed, I think, a 3-year deal with Dallas for over $55 million. I mean, that's almost $20 million a year for a guy like that. Now, he's a great player. He's won championships.
Klay Thompson, he's one of the best shooters to ever play in the league.
But he's toward he's not on the upslope. He's on the kind of the downslope of his career. He's had debilitating injuries that's kept him out for an entire season at one point. And Golden State, look, I don't think Steph Curry and Golden State would have let him escape if they valued him enough that would say, hey, let's give him, a max contract deal. I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand it or don't know enough about it, but I think these contracts are just nuts in the NBA.
But it is, but you got to look, there's so many guys on that roster that they're only making a couple of $1 million playing.
Okay.
So anyway, Daryl on the Titan our text line says, being a longtime Gators fan, I remember back in the day making the Tangerine Bowl. I was very happy. Enjoy success when you have it because it doesn't always happen.
No, that's true. I think fans are just, look, man, 2009 is a long time ago, QB. The guys that are going to be on the roster this year were 3 and 4 years old back in 2009. Think about that for a minute. That's, it doesn't feel like it was a long time ago, but my God, it was 15 years ago. And that's a long stretch. I think Gator fans are justified in some of the frustrations that they've experienced. I don't think it's toxic. I think it's reality. I mean, this is a program that's won 3 national championships. You talk about the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Okay, I'll give you Bryant, Saban, Spurrier. That's pretty much a no-brainer. But who would the 4th guy be on that mountain? And the only answer I could come up with is one who's active right now. And so that active coach is at one of the primary rivals, biggest rivals at the University of Florida. So, if you want to make a Mount Rushmore, certainly put Spurrier up there. And it's been a long time since we've had a guy like that. And Urban Meyer, same thing with him.
Speaking of that,
it's been a long time.
Van Der on Facebook Live says, before Steve Spurrier, our expectations were different, and so was our win-loss record. After Steve, everything changed, so have our expectations.
Absolutely.
I agree. Like I said, everything has changed because you've had 2 Hall of Fame coaches that ain't coming around anymore in Urban and Steve.
They're not.
Lee is in Lake City on the Titan Mar text line. Back to his Adena text. He says, hole number 12 at Adena, I've seen nothing quite like it. I've played pretty much every course in America.
Yeah.
But they have a canopy of live oaks on both sides of the fairway that you have to play through a tunnel of tree limbs. Yeah, that's the strangest hole in the world.
The designer that is a replica hole of a hole in Spain at Valderrama that's Seve Ballesteros.
How's it a replica hole?
Well, it's very similar to that hole in Spain in Valderrama. I heard that. That's what the owner said when he built the course. But and I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I read it
But they didn't. I mean, they must have got. They were very fortunate because if it's a replica, that means that hole has all those damn oak trees there. These are 100-year-old oak trees that literally. You really don't know where to hit it on that hole.
Well, I tell you, okay, so I played it. The last 2 times I played that hole, I've hit, believe it or not, I've actually hit a driver, and it opens up past the tree that looks like it's in the way. And if you can hit it straight, you're going to be fine. You have to hit it straight, though. And a lot of folks
you have to hit a cut on that shot on that hole, Jesse.
You can, but if you don't hit,
but you also from the back tees, you can hit a perfect drive, and you're right behind that another tree.
Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you, I've hit 235-yard, 240-yard driver, and I mean I made par and a bogey on the last 2 times I played it from the fair. So
anyway, I think it's the worst hole out there.
You think it's the worst hole? Well, listen, I think that course is really cool. There are holes you like and holes you don't like, pretty much like every golf course you play. But that's one of the nicer properties that we have within, say, 45 minutes or a 60-mile radius. It really is. I think you'll agree with that. And some of the par 3s on that course are unbelievable. And so, with the carry that's required for golfers that are, say, 10 or above, that's very difficult. So I mean, you've got to have your game on to know what to do out there. But it's one of my favorite places. I really enjoy that course, QB. I know you.
All right, before we get to our Peachland Dental, Army Sniper on YouTube, brought to you by Plummet, says if Napier loses to Miami, he's good as gone. Unfortunately, Lagway and others will probably transfer, but it's just part of doing business these days.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's any way Billy Napier's not your coach the following year. I just don't think financially the school and everything can handle it. Plus, everybody's excited about DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway is going to be your starting quarterback next year. If Billy Napier's not here, he's not here. So, okay.
Barone, real quick, Barone, electric shock therapy, JC. It's what keeps muscles tight without lifting heavy weights. Thank you for that. And then how about Richard Harvey? JC, I lost 25 pounds on Monjaro. That is the terazipatide. That is great. Great to hear, Richard. I wish you the best. Keep going, man. Maintain that weight loss and change your eating habits, and we'll all live longer. I believe it. And I think this is one of the greatest things medically that's happened. And it is shown in the stock prices of Novo Nordisk, NVO, and Eli Lilly, LLY. If you look at those charts, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now Lilly's talking about an Alzheimer's application. And we all know somebody who suffered from dementia or Alzheimer's. This is extraordinary times we're living in on the medical side and the biotechnology side. I think it's wonderful. Okay, so you want to go to golf now?
Yes, our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Goes visit them at peachlanddental.com. We are at the John Deere Classic.
Oh, God.
I'm going to pick first since my guy finished the highest last week, and I'm going to take Sunjay M.
Hold on. Give me a minute. You kind of caught me off guard here. I know we were doing this.
While you're looking, Tony says on Facebook Live, Shane, I agree with you on number 12. Rest of the course is incredible.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like 12. I don't like it either. I'm just telling you, if you hit a straight shot 230, you're going to be
They say
fine.
you can hit a perfectly straight shot and be behind a tree in the middle of the fairway.
You can, but you got to know your distances, QB. And yes, you're right. A high fade is a workable shot if you can pull it off. But I mean, okay. Let's see here. Wow, this is interesting. These tournaments sometimes these are the ones that I'm going to go with probably the most boring, unhappy looking golfer you'll ever watch, but who I've heard is a really cool guy on social media that young people just love. But when I watch him, I want to fall asleep. And that's your guy Poston.
JT Poston. I had him as one of my picks, dadgummit.
Yep, got you there. I'm taking him. I don't know if he's good enough to win. I think he's good.
This is the kind of tournament that like a JT Poston or a JJ Spawn or somebody like that wins. Okay, my second pick, I'm going with Sepp Straka.
Okay. Sepp Straka is a good pick. That was one that I was going to look at. Shoot. Okay. Well, you took him from me. So let me go with – I don't know why I picked this guy. He is yet to win. He's got all the talent in the world, hits it a mile, but has trouble putting. Maybe he finds it this weekend, and that's Cam Young.
Cameron Young, worst putter in America.
He's terrible. And wait a minute.
He's a mental head case too.
Wait. That's you know what?
Is that Carson Young?
That might be Carson Young. Let me change that if I may. I'm going to go with Denny McCarthy as opposed to Carson Young.
Denny McCarthy, good putter.
Denny McCarthy. I like his game.
My last pick, I'm going to go with Davis Riley.
Oh, okay. Got to cheer for him. He's cool. All right. Well, we're running out of chances here. These guys all need to win with their status on tour, I would guess. So it's going to be a pretty good tournament to watch if you like to watch new players or unknowns play or guys that we don't see every week challenge. So I'm going to go with. Man, this is tough. So you took that M guy. I'm going to take Patrick Rogers. How about that?
Stanford Cardinal.
No
relation to Aaron. No relation.
There is a text here. It's Army Sniper coming back. Since when has 6-6 or 7-5 been the standard for UF football?
Army Sniper must have been about 15 years old in 1992-ish. Because that's what Florida football was, pretty much. JC, tell me, you grew up here.
Well, yeah, we had a good.
Kerwin had a couple 8-4 teams.
Yeah. Well,
they had a 10-1 or 10-2 team, but that is it. And like I tell you, it depends on when you grew up.
Yeah, it does. What do you think Billy's got to do to get the sharks out of the water surrounding the boat? Well, how many wins does he need?
Honestly, JC, I mean, Phil Steele has them as one of his most improved teams. He thinks, and Brent will talk more about this, that he thinks they'll have a winning record. But with their schedule, he didn't want to have them as one of his surprise teams. I'm not in this. I don't want to get into the prediction business again because I really thought we'd win 8 games last year. And if you really go back and look at it, we could have. Could have, should have, would have. But I think there's only 2 teams that we cannot beat on the schedule.
Okay.
Texas and Georgia.
I think
I think you can beat everybody else on the schedule. Not saying they're going to.
No, I get it.
I think the defense, it all comes down to getting off the field on third downs, limiting big plays, and not being a historical, pathetic defense. If you do that, if you're just average on defense this year, you're going to win 2 or 3 more games than you did last year.
Yeah, and I also agree that he is not going anywhere regardless of what happens early part of the year. This year, they're going to let him play it out. But I think he's got to have I'm not predicting what he's going to win, but 7 wins, I think, gets the noise level lowered, because I think you'll see a trend. If they win 7 games with this schedule and you see a trend of better football, like you're saying, defensively especially, making open field tackles, turning the ball over, those kinds of things, I guess 7 would be a great number. I think, look, some of your former teammates that I talked to one, an offensive lineman who was driving through St. Augustine just the other day. He said if they win 7 games, there should be a parade. So, I mean, I don't know if I agree with Tony there, but I think 7 wins is a good number.
No, I think they'll win 7. I literally think if they win 9, they make the playoffs.
Possible. I mean, and maybe they beat one of those 2 teams that you say they won't beat and lose to a game that they probably should win. I mean, any of that kind of stuff is possible. So, I mean, they should have beat Missouri, but they may not have should have beat South Carolina last year. You can look at it any way you want to, but it's one of those things that I think Florida can surprise some people, and that would start off with a good.
Well, I will just say this: this is clearly his most talented team, his deepest team, and they brought in some really good players from other schools on defense, and it all comes down to defense. All right, JC.
All right.
Have a good 4th. We'll see you on Friday.
You too. All right.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll be joined by our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Our Gridiron sponsors, CertaPro Painters, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Campus USA Credit Union, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45. Our touchdown sponsors, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We're going to go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing?
Shane, doing well. Good to be on with you, and appreciate the adjustment in the schedule with the 4th of July. We're always glad to have it. It'd be nice to have a day off, but it just kind of makes for an unusual schedule. But that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Brent, all right, let's jump right into it here. We got a bunch of Facebooks and YouTubes I'll get to, but I didn't realize now you can go to Costco, buy a month's supply of toilet paper and paper towels and frozen chicken and buy some football tickets as well.
Yeah, that's pretty amusing. Brent Murphy had this note that Baylor, Indiana, Louisville, Minnesota, Nevada, Rutgers, Tulane, and Virginia selling 2 tickets for home games through the Membership Warehouse Club, $65.99 to $100. So, and look, different companies are probably going to get very creative with things like this. So, but it's just unusual to see football tickets. By the way, I don't know if you knew this. I was at a funeral not too long ago, and I made a comment on the casket. I mean, it was a nice casket for this gentleman's mother, and he and I got to talking about it. And he said, "Yeah, we got the casket from Costco." Now they don't have caskets on aisle 7, but you can actually get a casket through Costco. I'm obviously online. What about that?
Very, very interesting. No question about it. TNT Sports, which we know they got really involved with the NCAA basketball tournament recently. They're now going to carry a bunch of college. They're going to carry the Mountain West, but aren't they going to be part of the playoff system?
Yes. Yeah. They are part of that too. They're going to carry a couple of the opening round games. So TNT getting involved with a lot of things right now. TNT and Mountain West, they've reached an agreement for a full slate of games on, again, how about this, Shane, True TV that we only watch during the basketball season, and Max. So our watching of college football is going to be quite different than it has been in the past, isn't it, Shane?
It really is. It's crazy. As long as I don't have to stream it, I'm fine. So we all know July 1st is when OU and Texas officially became part of the Southeastern Conference, but the same for a lot of other schools that have moved around. And there's some schools that I totally forgot have changed conferences, and some that have jumped up from FCS to groups of 5. Kind of give us a quick little rundown of what's going on there in case, I know people know, but I when I was reading the notes, I totally forgot some of these teams are moving conferences.
Well, when the season starts, people are going to be saying a lot. You mean so and so is in that conference now? ACC, California, SMU, Stanford have joined. And matter of fact, there are a lot of people think SMU is going to be a pretty good team. So that will be interesting. Keep your eye on them. Obviously, Big 12, they lose Oklahoma and Texas, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, who we'll talk about in a few minutes. They have joined there. Big 10, Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington. Now, the difference here, those teams join August the 2nd. So keep that in mind. That's not a July one. Obviously, the Pac-12 is down next to nothing. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do over the next few years. Oklahoma, Texas joining the SEC. Kennesaw State joining Conference USA.
Yeah.
So good for them. That's what they're doing. Delaware and Missouri State set to move up from the lower division to join Conference USA in 2025. Also, and the SMU is leaving the American. Army is joining the American. So as far as your the Independents, Notre Dame, UConn, UMass will return to the MAC in 2025. Nothing going on with the Mountain West. So that's just a quick run through, Shane. Yes, a lot of those have taken people by surprise when when they read and realize what the lineup is now.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing the Kennesaw States of the world. I mean, we saw James Madison move up. Kennesaw State's a good football program, but now
They are.
they're in the group of five. It's kind of cool. Brent, the Manning Passing Academy, which has been going on for quite some time now, I think about 30 something years. They have it at Nicholls State University every year. They always have kind of some starting college quarterbacks that's kind of like they just show up and kind of coach a little bit here and there. But they also have a little competition. The competition is really weird to me. And here's why. I'll let you talk, and then I'm going to tell you why I think it's strange.
Well, their deep ball challenge, for one, 3 throws ranging in distance. You've got to hit 3 moving golf carts, making a 40-plus throw into the net. Only 3 quarterbacks hit all 3 moving targets, and one took home the quarterback challenge and one deep ball, sudden death. So is that really different, Shane, than anything you've heard about?
No, I mean, so when Kerwin and I and Danny, we used to have our camp, we did something very similar. You know, it's a little skills challenge. It really has nothing to do with playing quarterback.
Sure.
And it's all for the young campers to sit in the stands and watch these kids, especially they have a long toss. You know, some guys throw it like 85 yards and the young kids get all excited. I just think it's interesting. And what it does is it wastes time at this camp.
Yeah, sure.
But it's interesting that this is something that Peyton and Eli have, and they promote this who throws it the farthest or what have you, because neither one of them could throw it about 50 yards.
That's great.
And they both know that no matter how far you throw it, has nothing to do with playing quarterback. I just think it's very interesting. But it's so cool that they bring these college kids there to kind of listen and learn from them, and then obviously teach the young kids. It's very, very cool. All right, we've had some questions on Facebook Live regarding the Utah situation. Yeah, I feel like this is something that Utah does every year in their football program, because I feel like when Urban was there, Urban kind of left, but I think they kind of said, Kyle Whittingham, you're going to take over if Urban leaves. And now they're going to kind of do it when Kyle Whittingham hangs it up.
Yeah, Utah is just a different animal in a lot of ways. I really do like Whittingham. I'm curious what you think about him.
I like him a lot.
He has done a tremendous job at Utah. I mean, obviously, Florida was up personal with Utah in that game out there, but their D coordinator, Morgan Scalley, this is a coach in waiting deal. Hopefully it will be a lot easier than Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Bowden. I don't think he could help but be a little smoother than that was. Scaley will make about at least $5 million a year as head coach. Now, there is no timetable for Whittingham to leave. So, I mean, that could be next year. It could be 5 years. We don't know, but they've gone ahead and made this decision, which a lot of teams don't do, but they do. They help me on this, Shane. They like to kind of keep things in-house, is my understanding, correct?
Yes.
So this is what they've done. And listen, Whittingham is a really interesting guy, has a big Harley that he rides around, long hair, and really enjoys his off time. I think he loves golf too. So this will be interesting to see where this goes. But he, Shane, he is beloved out there, and I can see why.
Yeah, he's a good football coach. So as you said, we don't know when he's going to hang it up, but he's not going to go anywhere else. CertaPro Painters of Gainesville's area's leader in painting excellence and proud partners of the Florida Gators. Go visit them at CertaPro.com for a free estimate. We got Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, on the Titan MRI hotline. All right, Brent, we're right around, next week or the following week, we have SEC Media Days, and I think next week the Big 12 has they're kicking off their stuff as well.
Yeah, the July 9th and 10th, they've got theirs, and that will be at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. So they're hoping to make a splash out there. The ACC is July 22nd through 25th. The Big Ten is 23rd and 20 through the 25th at Lucas Oil Stadium. SEC is in Dallas this year, July 15th through the 18th. So that will be certainly different. You've got a little bit of overlap, but not much like we used to. And again, what is unusual about the SEC is it's 4 days. And it's a packed 4 days too. Some of the others, ACC is 3, Big 12 is 2, the Big 10 is 3. But you've got a deal where the SEC is one of the longer ones, and we're not sure where it's going to be next year. They may be back in Atlanta, but we'll find out when we get there.
Yeah, for sure. A couple questions here. Dan on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, wants to know if I'll be in Dallas for media. I will not. Brent, you're going to be there, right?
Yes. Yeah. I will be. I've since this started in the early 90s, I've missed 2. One in the early 90s, and then one, obviously the COVID year, and I've been to all the rest of them.
Very cool. You'll have to go down to the stockyards in Fort Worth, Brent, and you got to watch them when they bring the cattle through there. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Utah State is basically getting rid of their coach, Blake Anderson. I don't know what's going on out there. It doesn't sound great. Blake Anderson has been coaching ball a long time. I know he lost his wife a couple of years ago to breast cancer. Right. Then he lost his son, I believe, to suicide. What can you tell us about that situation?
This is a strange situation, and we just don't know a lot of what's going on. Their athletic director, Diana Sabu, said that Anderson is on administrative leave. The people who are covering this says it doesn't sound good. Last year they had 3 players arrested for sexual assault, and that doesn't have anything to do with this. But here's what they've said, that they've informed the team that Coach Anderson is on administrative leave and unlikely to return. So their D coordinator, Nate Drilling, has been named the interim coach. Now, I've heard a lot of different rumors about this, most of them not worth repeating, but I'm sure this will come out at some point. But that is just so unusual for something to be going on in July and having to get a new coach coming up for September.
Yeah, it's at least, obviously they had to hire someone within the organization, but it's not a good situation there at all.
No.
All right, Brent, let's move around the SEC a little bit.
Sure.
The more I think about it, you got Alabama with a new coach, Saban. We know his history and success. You being an Alabama grad, your twin brother does radio there in the state of Alabama. What's the feeling of the fan base going into this year without Nick Saban leading his team out of the tunnel?
Well, it's unusual to say the least. After someone's been there 17 years and had that kind of success, it is going to take some adjustment. But to Caleb DeBoer's credit, they made a lot of good decisions. They recruited really well. They're like number 2 right now in the recruiting rankings. Ohio State's number 1. I think Georgia's 3. So no surprise with that. But DeBoer, as he probably really needed to be, is just more fan-friendly, media-friendly than Saban was. And look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that was, as we know, that was Saban's his personality. Jalen Milroe made an interesting comment to 24/7 Sports about the difference in Saban and DeBoer. They were in the spring. Milroe said he threw a really good deep ball, and everybody was celebrating except for Milroe. And DeBoer comes up to him and says, "Hey, what happened?" I mean, and Milroe said, "What do you mean, what happened?" And DeBoer said, "I thought you would be celebrating or running down the field." And Milroe said, "Coach, I was worried about the next play." And DeBoer said, "Look, I want you to celebrate. I want you to be excited. That was a really good pass." So Milroe said that was kind of different. Look, that's not in the long run, that's not a real big deal, but that's just kind of how they deal with that. As far as he wanted him to be excited too. So that's just a little bit of difference in the two. But yeah, so far, and obviously Saban left a lot of talent, and frankly, I think again that'd be one of the better teams in the SEC.
Yeah, I love that from Jalen Milroe, because what he should have said is, "Coach, I expect to throw touchdowns. I don't need to do a whole lot of celebrating." You know, I love it when quarterbacks, they do their job. You know, you see some of these quarterbacks go nuts when they throw a touchdown. I'm like, dude, that's what you're supposed to do. Arkansas picked up, I think it was yesterday, one of the top linebackers in America. This guy ain't going to stay committed to Arkansas, in my opinion.
Yeah, 4-star linebacker Tavian Wallace. He is the number 3 linebacker and number 36 overall prospect in 24/7 Sports. I mean, he chose Arkansas over Florida, Florida State, and Georgia, and many more. And to your point, again, we've got to remember, I mean, this is just a verbal commitment. These other teams won't give up on recruiting him. And look, and I've seen a lot of Gator fans on Twitter upset about this. And to Shane's point, A, this is not over yet, and B, you know, if you get a guy who's looking at a lot of other schools, there's too many fish in the sea for this. It's not worth getting upset about.
Yeah, I want to move down to the Gators, Brent, because we're short on time today with the day change. Phil Steele's comments from his magazine, which I'm sure you've read from cover to cover already. Just kind of tell the listeners, if they have not read Phil Steele, what he thinks about the Gators this year.
He's higher on the Gators than a lot of the magazines. Now, he does mention they have not had 4 straight losing seasons since 1935 through 38. His comment was last year they were much better than their record. Only a handful of plays from a much better record. He thinks they're improved in all 3 phases. He obviously is not overlooking the brutal schedule either. So he thinks they're going to be one of his more improved teams. So Steele is a little higher on them. And again, Steele takes time, and he does a lot of things a little bit unusual, but as good a magazine as he has, he can do that. He spends a lot of time with the coaches. So if you haven't got one, for our listeners and viewers, it's certainly always worth it to have Phil Steele in the house. Yeah,
for sure. And yeah, he does have them as one of his not surprise teams, most improved. He does think they will have a winning record. I agree with Phil Steele for sure. Brent, give us some nuggets.
Yes. Speaking of Florida, Tank Hawkins, that's his nickname, is a wide receiver. I'm sure you covered this, but what I saw was he holds the team record with a 40-yard dash at 4.3. That's pretty good, to say the least. Also, this is pretty incredible, and what you and I have talked about this before. Georgia is playing a football game at Texas, the first year they come into the league. Now, A&M has been in the league since 2012. Georgia has yet to play at A&M. Shane, can you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, believe me, our fan base knows all about that.
Yes. So Georgia has had a couple of player medical disqualifications. Pierce Spurlin at tight end, Kelton Smith at offensive guard. Also, I want to mention an LSU. This is hard to believe, and we've touched on this a little bit. LSU has not won an opener, season opener, since 2019 when they won the national championship. Shane, can you believe that?
Wow, that is hard to believe. Who do they? And they open up with SC, right, out in Vegas.
Yeah, they open up with SC. Now, again, what's happened here? Give them credit. They've lost to Florida State 2 years in a row. 3 years ago, they lost to UCLA. So they lost to some pretty good competition. But that is why that this USC game is so important to them with that, too. Oklahoma and Texas have joined the league. They've had big celebrations this week. Also, Pro Football Focus, by the way, has got their top 5 teams with the most pressure to succeed. This is not a real stat. It's just something they make up, but it looks good. And that their top 5, Florida, Miami, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and Penn State. So
yeah, I saw that. And, you know, some of it is based on coaches getting the job done. Others are, you know, these teams keep being highly publicized, but never getting over the hump. So obviously Florida and Miami are the ones that are, because they've been poor the last few years. Ohio State needs to win, Ole Miss needs to win, and Penn State never wins anything. Penn State will be like 7-0, and then they start playing the decent teams in the Big Ten. They ended up 7-4, you know, or something like that. So very, very important.
Last 2 notes here. I just want to get your comment on something. Florida State's doing really well in recruiting, and we will get more detail than that. The last thing I wanted you to comment on, and I'd forgotten about this until I heard it yesterday. Cade Bell, the son of Kerwin Bell, is the offense coordinator at Pitt. So if you would comment on that, he's going up the ladder, isn't he?
Cade's a football junkie. I've known him since he was a young kid. He played for Kerwin at JU, and he's coached with Kerwin. He's been the quarterback coach, and Kerwin's let him call some plays, and he has a great relationship with his players because I think he's only 30. Loves to recruit. He's just a junkie when it comes to it. I'm excited to watch him. Now, I will tell you this. Kerwin's not real happy with him because he took to Pitt like 3 of their best offensive players.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, obviously those kids got a little bit more money and they wanted to go play Power 5 football. So it will be fun to watch Cade. I speak with Cade, text with Cade, you know, a couple times a month. And I'm anxious to see because, you know, I don't know Pat Narduzzi, but he's a defensive-minded head coach.
He is.
It's cool to see that he's like, look, I need to do something offensively because we're pathetic.
Correct.
And Cade is kind of out there wide open. So it'd be interesting to see what the Pitt Panthers do this year, but they'll definitely be a team I'll be watching. But, you know, Cade played his high school ball at Fleming Island. And so, yeah, he's an up-and-comer, and he knows ball. I will say that.
He does. Absolutely.
He's very good. That it? That's all your nuggets, Brent?
Yeah.
You good?
I know we're short on time. I've got a whole bunch of others, but I understand the time factor and appreciate just being able to be on today.
Absolutely. Have a great 4th, and we'll talk to you next week, my man.
Good. Can't wait, bud. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Speaking of Comfort Temp Heating and Air, they're looking for an enthusiastic, motivated comfort specialist to join their team. $1,000 sign-on bonus after 90 days. Awesome benefits and the opportunity to grow with a winning team. Apply today at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. No show tomorrow. We'll have a rerun if you want to watch that. Hope everybody has a safe 4th of July. We'll be back here on Friday. And pretty much that's it, folks. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday. Take care.